Lately, you can't turn your brain off. You lie in bed exhausted, but sleep won't come. You sit down to work, but focus feels like trying to grab smoke. You're snapping at people you used to love, catastrophizing things that used to roll right off you, and running on cortisol and caffeine just to feel functional. So you finally get the blood work done, and the doctor looked at you square in the eye and said, "You're fine, everything looks normal," but you don't feel fine. You feel like you're drowning in slow motion, anxious without a clear reason, burnt out without a finish line, foggy in a way that sleep doesn't fix. And deep down, you know something is wrong. You're not imagining it. Here's what nobody's telling you. Over 60% of patients live in exactly this gap between feeling terrible and being told their labs are clean. They spend months, sometimes years, blaming themselves, pushing harder, trying new supplements, adjusting their diet, wondering if this is just who they are now. It's not. As a board-certified integrative and cellular medicine specialist, I can tell you exactly why this is happening and why normal labs were never built to find it. When your doctor says your labs are normal, they're not saying your body is running well. They're saying your numbers fall somewhere inside a reference range built for a massive pool of people, healthy and unhealthy alike. People who are overweight, sedentary, chronically stressed, barely sleeping, and dealing with conditions they haven't been diagnosed with yet. Normal doesn't mean optimal. It means you're matched the average of a population that's already struggling. It's the medical equivalent of saying, "Good news, you're not dying yet." That's a pretty low bar, especially when you're running on fumes. Take ferritin as one example. The standard reference range for women runs between 15 to 1200. That's not a range, that's a canyon. And nothing inside it tells you what level actually gives you energy, mental clarity, and the ability to feel rested after a full night of sleep. Or look at thyroid function. Most doctors only test TSH, and they flag it only when it falls outside of 0.4 to 4. But many of my patients feel their worst at a TSH of 3.5. Anxious, exhausted, unable to focus, gaining weight for no clear reason, and every single one of them have been told that their thyroid function is perfectly normal because the standard lab range it is. This is the trap. Standard lab reference ranges were designed to catch disease. They weren't designed to tell you why you feel like you haven't slept in 3 years, why your anxiety has a hair trigger, why you can't get through an afternoon without hitting a wall. Normal just means you cleared the lowest bar possible. It says nothing about whether your brain and your body are actually functioning the way that we're built to. You deserve more than a system that only looks for what's catastrophically broken. You deserve to know what optimal actually looks like for you specifically. And here's the hard truth. What's driving the anxiety, the burnout, the fractured focus, the stolen sleep will never show up on your standard blood panel, which means your doctor working within that system has no way to define it. Because the problem isn't in your blood work, it's in your brain. Because it's not just a blood chemistry problem. It's more of an electrical brainwave problem. See, your brain runs on electricity. Billions of neurons are firing and communicating through electrical signals every single second. And those signals create rhythmic patterns that repeat over and over. We call those patterns brainwaves. The brainwaves are directly responsible for how you feel, how clear you think, how deeply you can focus, and how much mental energy you have available at any given moment. This isn't alternative medicine or biohacking theory. Hans Berger measured this for the first time in 1924. Every hospital in the world has been using this technology ever since. Every anesthesiologist monitors your brainwaves during surgery. Every neurologist reads them to understand what's happening inside your brain. You just never knew it's the reason you feel terrible even after healthy labs. Because when your brain is stuck in the wrong electrical pattern, you feel disconnected from everything. To understand the wrong electrical patterns, you need to know what your brain mostly operates in 2 wave patterns. The first one is alpha waves. They represent a state of relaxation and calm. You feel them the most when you close your eyes during meditation or during a deep resting state. The second is beta waves. These are fast electrical impulses produced by the brain during active and focused mental activity. High frequency of these waves are often linked to stress, anxiety, and mental fatigue. And for most people, the frequency is often high. Chronic stress, deadline pressure, high stakes decisions making, and years of pushing hard professionally train your brain to live in high beta permanently. High beta waves also suppress the calm alpha waves. So all of this creates a vicious cycle where the harder you try to focus, the worse it gets. But your standard labs never find these brainwave patterns, which is why you feel the symptoms even after your doctor says everything is fine. So the problem is in your brainwave patterns, and only something that works at your brain level can fix it. That something is what's called brain mapping, or simply a quantitative EEG. It's a technique where you can map the structure and function of your brain. You get a 3D map of the brain regions to pinpoint areas that need to be fixed. It has evolved over the past 25 to 30 years and has helped millions of labs. The technique is simple. You see a real-time map of your brain's electrical activity that shows what your brain is doing, in which regions, and at which frequencies. With a brain map, you can see which regions of your brain are producing too much high beta activity. It also shows you where your alpha is being suppressed, where the gateway to real focus has been quietly closed off by years of stress and overstimulation. For almost 80% of the patients, brain mapping is the first time they get a real answer to their health problems. But a brain map is just a diagnostic tool. It's extraordinarily good at identifying the problem. You cannot change or retrain your brain's electrical activity at the level where that problem lives. For this, you need a more advanced approach. You need an intervention that works directly with your brain's own electrical signals and teaches it how to reorganize itself in a more functional state. That intervention is neurofeedback. During a neurofeedback session, you sit comfortably while sensors on your brain map continue reading your brain's electrical activity in real time. That live data is fed into a system that is watching for specific patterns, including high beta spikes, the suppressed alpha, and every time your brain naturally drifts towards a more balanced pattern, the system gives an immediate positive signal. It might be a sound, a visual cue, or a change in something you're watching on a screen. This is fundamentally different from everything else in the optimization space. Caffeine, nicotine, nootropic supplements, even prescription stimulants, all of these work by pushing your brain's chemistry in a particular direction from the outside. It can be useful. They can create the temporary sensation of being sharper, more alert, more focused, but they do not teach your brain anything. The moment the substance wears off, your brain returns to exactly the same default pattern it was running before. That is why tolerance builds, why you find yourself needing more to get the same effect, and why the moment you stop, the fog comes back just as thick as it ever was. Neurofeedback is not pushing your brain from the outside. It's working with your brain's own learning mechanisms from the inside. It's the reason you feel the happiest in your best day, or you had a great night's sleep, or a moment where you just sat down and everything clicked. It's your brain briefly hitting the default pattern it was always built to run on. But the problem is, where do you actually go to get this done properly? Because the brain mapping and neurofeedback therapy are very personalized to your specific pattern. It's not something you find at every wellness clinic. Most places are either doing one without the other, using generic protocols that aren't guided by your actual brain map data, or treating it as a standalone service without addressing the deeper biological picture alongside it. Vibe Wellness's Brain Bloom program fills that gap. Brain Bloom is a fully integrated program that starts with a personalized brain map to show exactly what your brain's electrical patterns look like and where the dysregulation is living. From there, a targeted neurofeedback protocol is built specifically around your map. We do not follow a generic template, but a precise training plan designed around your brain's unique pattern of high beta excess, alpha suppression, and any other signatures of dysfunction that are showing up in your specific data. And it doesn't stop at the electrical level. At Vibe Wellness, we understand your body's electrical patterns and your body's biological environment are constantly influencing each other. A brain stuck in chronic high beta is also a brain bathed in elevated cortisol. A brain with suppressed alpha is also a brain that is likely dealing with inflammation, poor cellular energy, and hormonal imbalance at the same time. Addressing one without the other leaves the job half done. This is why our Brain Bloom program includes peptide therapy as part of its advanced protocols. Peptides give your brain the optimal biological condition to learn that pattern faster, hold it more deeply, and sustain it longer. So you don't need to try harder. You don't need more discipline, more willpower, or better morning routine. You just need to work at the level of the brainwave patterns where the problem lives. Because millions of people are experiencing the same patterns. The only difference between you and them is that they look in the right action at the right time. It's your chance to take action now. The link is in the description below.